She forgot him. Not slowly. Not in pieces. Not like a name on the tip of your tongue. In one single moment. Like someone reached inside her mind and erased him. Clean. Precise. Cruel. No fragments left behind. No warmth. No trace of love. Just a blank space where 5 years used to be. The last thing Lily remembered was the sound. Metal crushing in on itself. A scream of tires that felt too loud, too close. Glass exploding into the air like rain. And Daniel's voice. Lily. Look at me. Stay with me. Her fingers were slipping from his. She didn't understand why. Everything was spinning. Then. Nothing. When she opened her eyes, the world felt wrong. Too bright. Too sharp. Too empty. There was a machine beeping somewhere near her ear. Slow. Steady. Like it was counting something she couldn't see. Her body felt heavy. Disconnected. Like she had been placed inside it, instead of living in it. Voices floated around her. Blurry. Distant. Can you hear me? Lily, stay with us. Pupils are responding. None of it felt real. And then. A voice cut through everything. Closer. Raw. Breaking. Lily, hey, I'm here, it's okay. She turned her head. Slowly. Pain shot through her skull. But she kept looking. And then she saw him. A man. Standing too close. Like he belonged there. Like he had a right to be there. His eyes were red. Not just tired. Destroyed. His lips trembled like he was holding back something too big to let out. His hands were shaking. Lily. He said her name like a question. Like he was afraid she wouldn't answer. She stared at him. Waiting. For something. A memory. A feeling. Anything. Nothing came. Who are you? She whispered. And just like that. Everything in him broke. His name was Daniel. And 3 days ago. She was his wife. They told her slowly. Carefully. Like she might shatter if they moved too fast. You were in a serious accident. You had a traumatic brain injury. Memory loss is possible. Possible. Such a small word. For something that felt so absolute. How much did I lose? The doctor hesitated. Always a bad sign. It varies. Tell me. Silence. Several years. Several years. Her chest tightened. And him? She nodded toward Daniel. He hadn't moved. Not even a little. Like if he did, he might disappear too. He's your husband. The word landed. But didn't connect. Husband. 5 years. A life. A love. And she felt nothing. Daniel forced himself to breathe. In. Out. In. Out. He had imagined this moment differently. He had imagined her waking up. Confused, maybe. Scared. But still, her. Not this. Not empty. Not looking at him like he was nobody. It's okay, he said quickly. Too quickly. Like if he spoke fast enough, reality might change. You don't have to remember everything right away. Right away. As if there would be a later. As if she would come back. She nodded. Because what else do you do when someone is falling apart in front of you? But inside. Something felt final. The first night was the hardest. Not for her. For him. She slept. Exhausted. Disconnected. Gone somewhere he couldn't follow. And he sat beside her bed. Watching. Listening to the machine breathe for her. Counting every rise and fall of her chest. "You promised you wouldn't scare me like this," he whispered. His voice cracked. "You said, no more hospital scares after that stupid flu last winter." No response. "Of course not." He leaned forward. Rested his forehead against her hand. Cold. Still. Unfamiliar. "Please come back to me." Silence. Morning came too quickly. And not at all. Time stopped making sense. Days blurred together. Daniel didn't leave. Not really. He left physically sometimes. To shower. To eat. To pretend he was functioning. But mentally. He never left that room. "Do you remember this?" He showed her a photo. Him and her. Covered in sand. Laughing. Sun behind them. "That was our first trip together." She looked at it carefully. Analyzed it like evidence. "I look happy." "You were." "And you?" He almost smiled. "I was too." She nodded slowly. "I don't remember it." The words hit him the same way every time. Like the first time. That's okay. It wasn't. It would never be okay. But it was all he had. "Did we fight?" He blinked. "What?" "Before this. Were we good?" He hesitated. Just for a second. But she caught it. "You paused." Everyone pauses. Not like that. She held his gaze. "Tell me the truth." He swallowed. "Yeah, we fought." "About what?" He let out a small breath. "You hated when I left lights on." "That's valid." "I thought so too, eventually." A tiny flicker of something passed through her expression. Almost amusement. Almost. "But we were good," he added. "Really good." She wanted to believe him. But belief without feeling felt hollow. When she came home, it was worse. The hospital was neutral. This place wasn't. This place was filled with him. With her. With them. Pictures on every wall. Moments frozen in time. "This is your favorite spot," he said quietly, pointing to the couch. "Why?" "You like the light here in the mornings." She sat down. Looked around. Waited. Nothing. "It doesn't feel like mine." His chest tightened. "It will." He didn't know if that was true. He just needed it to be. That night. She couldn't sleep. Not because of pain. Because of presence. Because she could feel him in the next room. Not far. But not close either. Like a life paused between them. "Why are you out there?" He looked up. "What?" "The couch." "I don't want to make you uncomfortable." "You're my husband." The word still felt foreign. But it mattered. "I know." "Then stop acting like you're not." He studied her carefully. "Are you sure?" She wasn't. But she didn't want him to disappear too. "Yes." They lay in silence. Side by side. Close enough to touch. Far enough to feel like strangers. He kept his hands to himself. Like crossing a line would break something fragile. "This is weird," she whispered. "Yeah. For you too?" He let out a quiet laugh. "More than you think." Pause. "How did we meet?" He smiled faintly. "You spilled coffee on me." She turned slightly. "Seriously?" "Ruined my shirt." "Sounds like me." It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Silence. She stared at the ceiling. I wish I remembered. His voice was almost gone. Me too. Weeks passed. Nothing came back. Not the big moments. Not the small ones. Not even his name felt natural in her mouth. But something else started happening. Something quieter. She started noticing him. Not as her husband. As a person. The way he waited before speaking. Like he didn't want to say the wrong thing. The way he watched her when she wasn't looking. Like he was memorizing her all over again. The way he always made coffee exactly the same way. Precise. Careful. Like it mattered. One morning. You like it with less sugar. She blinked. How do you know? You always said too much makes it taste fake. She took a sip. It was right. I don't remember saying that. I do. That hit differently. The letters came later. Accidentally. She wasn't looking for them. She was just trying to understand who she used to be. And then. A box. Old. Worn. Hidden. Inside. Dozens of envelopes. All addressed to her. Same handwriting. Daniel's. What are these? He froze. Just for a second. But enough. I used to write to you. Why? Because you liked it. That's not an answer. He looked at the box. Because sometimes. I didn't know how to say things out loud. She opened one. Lily. Today you fell asleep on the couch with your head on my arm, and I didn't move for an hour because I didn't want to wake you. Her chest tightened. She read another. And another. And another. Each one. A piece of a life she didn't remember. But could almost feel. Like echoes. You really loved me. It wasn't a question. I still do. She looked at him. That's not fair. I know. I don't feel it. I know. And you're just okay with that? He shook his head. No. Pause. But I'm not giving up. Time passed. Slow. Heavy. But something shifted. Not memory. Something else. One evening, he said something stupid. Really stupid. And she laughed. Without thinking. Without trying. It just happened. They both froze. What? She shook her head. Nothing, it just. She couldn't explain it. But for a second. It felt right. What if I never remember? Then we don't wait for it. What do we do then? He looked at her. Not desperate. Not broken. Just honest. We start again. From nothing? From us. The rain came months later. Heavy. Relentless. She stood outside. Let it hit her skin. Cold. Alive. And suddenly. A flash. Not a memory. A feeling. Spinning. Laughing. His hand pulling hers. You said you hated the rain. I changed my mind. She gasped. Daniel. He stepped closer. What? I don't remember. She took his hand. Firm. Real. But I feel something. And this time. She didn't let go. Maybe that's what love really is. Not memory. Not history. Not even time. But the quiet, stubborn choice. To stay. To try. To begin again. Even when everything is gone. So what now? She looked at him. And for the first time. She wasn't searching for the past. Now. She squeezed his hand. We fall in love again. And this time. She chose him. Not because she used to. But because she wanted to. Again. And again. And again, the first real crack didn't come from memory. It came from silence. There was a moment, small, almost invisible, when Lily stopped asking questions. At first, she asked everything. Who they were. Where they went. What she liked. What she hated. She tried to rebuild herself through answers. But answers weren't enough. Because they didn't come with feelings, and without feelings, they felt like lies. One morning, Daniel walked into the kitchen and found her sitting still. No phone. No coffee. Just sitting. Staring at nothing. Hey, you okay? She didn't answer immediately. Like his voice had to travel further to reach her. Do you ever feel like you're pretending to be someone? He frowned slightly. What do you mean? She looked at him. Tired. Not physically. Deeper than that. Like I wake up every day, and I'm playing a role. Like I'm supposed to be her, but I don't know how. That hit harder than anything else she'd said. Because it wasn't about memory. It was about identity. You're not pretending, he said carefully. Then what am I doing? He didn't have an answer. And she saw it. Exactly. That day, he didn't show her photos. Didn't mention the past. Didn't try to fix anything. For the first time. He just sat with her. In the silence. It scared him. Because silence meant there was nothing left to hold on to. No stories. No memories. No remember when. Just two people. Who used to be something. Tell me something I don't know, she said suddenly. He looked up. About what? About us. He thought for a moment. Longer than usual. You used to hum when you were nervous. She blinked. I don't hum. You do. No, I don't. You're doing it right now. She froze. Her lips parted slightly. And then she realized? She was. A quiet, almost inaudible sound. Without thinking. Without knowing. She stopped immediately. That's weird. Daniel smiled softly. That's you. Something flickered in her expression. Not recognition. But curiosity. Later that night, she stood in front of the mirror. Studying herself. Like she was trying to meet someone new. Who are you? She whispered it like a secret. Like if she said it too loud, it might break. Her reflection didn't answer. Of course it didn't. But for a second, she almost expected it to. The letters became her anchor. Not because they brought memories back. But because they felt real. More real than anything else. They weren't polished. They weren't perfect. They were messy. Honest. Alive. Lily. Today you burned dinner again. And then you blamed the stove. And then me. And somehow, we still ended up laughing on the floor at 2 a.m. eating cereal. She smiled. Not fully. But enough. Another letter. Lily. You said today that you're scared I'll get tired of you one day. I didn't know how to answer then. But here it is, I don't think I could ever get tired of you. You are the easiest choice I've ever made. Her chest tightened. That line stayed. It didn't fade like everything else. It stayed. You really meant all of this? She held up the letter. Daniel didn't even need to read it. Every word. Even this? She pointed. You are the easiest choice. He smiled, but there was pain in it. Especially that. She swallowed. I don't feel like an easy choice right now. He shook his head. That's because you're looking at it from the wrong side. What does that mean? It was easy for me. Silence. That landed. Days passed. And something shifted again. Subtle. But undeniable. She stopped seeing him as the man who lost her. And started seeing him as Daniel. Just Daniel. A person. Flawed. Patient. Tired. Still there. One evening. What was I like? He looked at her. You mean, before? Yeah. He leaned back slightly. Thinking. Really thinking. Not just listing facts. You were loud. She raised an eyebrow. I am not loud. You are. I barely talk now. That's different. He smiled faintly. You laughed loudly. You argued loudly. You loved loudly. She stared at him. I don't feel like that person. I know. Do you miss her? The question caught him off guard. He didn't answer right away. Sometimes. She nodded. Like she expected that. Do you wish I was still her? Silence. Longer this time. He could lie. He could say no. But she would see through it. I wish you didn't have to go through this. Not an answer. But the closest thing to truth he could give. She looked down. That's not what I asked. He leaned forward slightly. I don't want a version of you. I want you. That hit differently. Because it wasn't about the past. It was about now. That night, she couldn't sleep again. But this time. It wasn't because of confusion. It was because of him. Because of what he said. Because of how he said it. No pressure. No expectation. Just presence. She turned slightly. Looked at him. He was asleep. Or pretending to be. She couldn't tell. His face looked softer like this. Less guarded. Less careful. More real. Why are you still here? She whispered it. Not expecting an answer. But he gave one anyway. Because I love you. Her breath caught. Even now? A pause. Then. Especially now. She didn't understand that. Not fully. But something inside her reacted. The first real breaking point came unexpectedly. It always does. They were at a grocery store. Nothing dramatic. Nothing important. Just another normal attempt at living. You always forget this part, she said, holding up something random. He frowned. Forget what? This. You forgot it. I didn't even know we needed it. You should. The words came out sharper than she intended. He froze. Lily. No, seriously. How do you forget things like this? Silence. Heavy. Wrong. And then. She realized. That wasn't her. That reaction. That frustration. It came from somewhere else. Something she didn't remember. But still carried. She stepped back. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. Daniel didn't respond immediately. Because he knew. That wasn't random. That was her. A piece of her. Still there. Hidden. It's okay, he said quietly. But his voice held something else. Something closer to hope. Did I do that a lot? They were in the car now. Silence filling the space between them. What? Get mad over small things. He hesitated. Sometimes. And you just dealt with it? He let out a small breath. I wasn't perfect either. That's not what I asked. She looked at him. Why did you stay? That question cut deeper than anything else. Because it wasn't about memory. It was about choice. He didn't answer right away. Because the real answer was too big. Because it was you. She stared at him. That doesn't make sense. It does to me. That night, she read the letters again. All of them. One by one. Slowly. Carefully. Looking for something. Not memory. Not proof. Something else. And then she found it. Not in the words. Between them. Consistency. He was always there. In every story. Every moment. Every version of her. He stayed. And that's when it hit her. Not as a thought. As a feeling. Small. Quiet. But real. Daniel? He looked up. Yeah? She hesitated. Just for a second. Then. I think. I understand something. He didn't move. Didn't interrupt. I don't remember loving you. His chest tightened. But I understand why I did. Silence. That was new. Different. Important. And? She took a breath. And I don't think that was a mistake. He closed his eyes for a second. Just a second. Because if he held it longer, he would lose control. That night changed everything. Not dramatically. Not instantly. But fundamentally. Because now, it wasn't about remembering. It was about choosing. And for the first time, she didn't feel like she was pretending. Not completely. The shift didn't happen loudly. There was no big moment. No dramatic realization. Just a slow, quiet breaking. It started with distance. Not physical. Something deeper. Something neither of them could touch. Lily stopped asking about the past. Not because she didn't care. Because it hurt. Every answer reminded her of something she didn't have. Every story felt like a life stolen from her. And every time Daniel said you used to, it sounded like a goodbye. Daniel noticed. Of course he did. He noticed everything. The way she stopped smiling at the letters. The way she stopped asking questions. The way silence started lasting longer and longer. One night. Tell me something real. She said it out of nowhere. They were sitting in the living room. Lights off. Only the city glowing through the window. I always do, he said quietly. No. She shook her head. Not stories. Not memories. Not we used to. She looked at him. Straight into him. Tell me something real, right now. He froze. Because that was harder. Much harder. Okay. A long pause. Then. I'm losing you. The words landed heavy. Final. You already did. Her voice was calm. Too calm. That scared him more than anger ever could. No. He shook his head slightly. You're still here. She looked at him for a long time. And then said the one thing he wasn't ready to hear. Not the version you love. Silence. And in that silence, everything cracked. Do you know what this feels like? Her voice wasn't loud. But it was sharp. Honest. It feels like I'm living inside someone else's relationship. He didn't interrupt. Didn't defend. Because she wasn't wrong. You look at me like I'm everything. She swallowed. And I look at you, and I don't feel it. Her voice broke slightly. Do you understand how unfair that is? He nodded slowly. Yeah. No, you don't. Now there was emotion. Raw. Unfiltered. Because if you did, you wouldn't keep waiting. That hit hard. What am I supposed to do? His voice finally cracked. Just walk away? I don't know. She stood up. Frustrated. Overwhelmed. I don't know anything anymore. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it was heavy. Unstable. Dangerous, say it. Her voice was quieter now. Almost a whisper. Say what? She looked at him. And this time, there was no hesitation. Say that you wish I was her. His chest tightened instantly. Lily. Say it. I'm not going to. Say it. The words echoed. Sharp. Breaking through everything. He stood up slowly. His hands clenched. Fine. A breath. Shaky. Unsteady. I miss her. Silence. Her eyes filled. Thank you. But she wasn't relieved. She was shattered. Do you know what's worse? She laughed softly. But there was nothing funny in it. I think she deserved you. He frowned. What? The version of me you talk about. She shook her head. She knew how to love you. A tear rolled down her cheek. I don't. That was the moment. The real one. The breaking point. That's not true. He stepped closer. You don't get to decide that for me. I'm not deciding. Her voice trembled. I'm feeling it. She placed her hand on her chest. And there's nothing here. Silence. He didn't move. Didn't breathe properly. I don't love you, Daniel. The words fell. Heavy. Final. Unavoidable. He didn't react immediately. No yelling. No anger. No drama. Just stillness. Like his body didn't know what to do with the pain. I know. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. That somehow hurt more. Then why are you still here? She asked it like a plea. Like she needed an answer to survive this moment. He looked at her. Really looked. Like he was memorizing her all over again. Because I don't know how to stop loving you. And that broke her. She turned away. Covered her face. This isn't fair. I know. This isn't right. I know. Then why are we doing this? Silence. Long. Heavy. And then. Because neither of us knows how to let go. That night. They didn't sleep. Not really. They existed in the same space. Breathing the same air. Living two completely different realities. At 3 a.m. she spoke again. I think I need to leave. The words were soft. But they hit like a collapse. Daniel didn't respond immediately. Because he knew. This time. It was real. Okay. That was it. No argument. No fight. Just acceptance. And somehow. That hurt more than anything else. You're not even going to try to stop me? She turned toward him. Searching his face. Looking for something. Anything. No. His voice was steady. Why? A pause. Then. Because love isn't forcing someone to stay. Her eyes filled instantly. Then what is it? He looked at her. And this time, there was nothing left to hide. It's letting them choose you. Silence. And in that silence, she realized something terrifying. She wasn't choosing him. The next morning felt unreal. Like everything was happening underwater. Slow. Muted. Distant. She packed quietly. Not much. Just enough to leave. Every item she touched felt unfamiliar. Like she was borrowing someone else's life. Daniel stood in the doorway. Watching. Not stopping her. Not helping either. Just. There. Say something. She didn't look at him. What do you want me to say? His voice was calm. Too calm. I don't know anything. She finally turned. Aren't you angry? No. Why not? Now she was frustrated again. Because this isn't your fault. It feels like it is. It's not. Silence. I'm losing you. She whispered it. Like she just realized it. And there's nothing I can do. He nodded slowly. Yeah. She picked up her bag. Walked past him. Stopped. Just for a second. I'm sorry. He didn't answer. Because sorry was too small for this. The door closed. Quietly. No slam. No drama. Just an ending. And for the first time since the accident, Daniel was alone. The house felt different immediately. Not empty. Worse. Echoing. Like everything inside it remembered her. But she wasn't there anymore. He walked into the living room. Sat down. Looked at the space where she used to be. And for the first time, he let himself break. Not quietly. Not controlled. Completely. Because losing someone once is pain. But losing them twice, while they're still alive, that's something else entirely. Days passed. Then weeks. Then months. And the silence stayed. But somewhere else. Lily stood in a different apartment. Different walls. Different life. Trying to build something new. But no matter how far she went, there was one thing she couldn't escape. Not a memory. Not a thought. A feeling. A quiet, constant absence. Like something was missing. But she didn't know what. And one day, it rained. Hard. Relentless. And without thinking, she stopped. Closed her eyes. And whispered. Why does this feel like I'm forgetting something important? The rain didn't stop. It never does when something important is about to happen. Lily stood under it. Not moving. Not hiding. Letting it soak through her clothes, her skin, her thoughts. Something inside her felt restless. Unfinished. Like a sentence cut in the middle. It wasn't a memory. Not exactly. But it wasn't nothing either. It was a pull. Quiet. Constant. Unexplainable. She closed her eyes. And for a brief second? A flash. Laughter. Spinning in the rain. A voice. You said you hated this. I changed my mind. Her eyes snapped open. Her breath caught. Daniel. The name came out naturally. Too naturally. Like it had always been there. Just buried. She didn't think. Didn't analyze. Didn't question. She just moved. The drive felt shorter than it should have. Or maybe time just stopped mattering again. Her hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Her heart racing in a way she couldn't explain. Not fear. Something else. Something deeper. When she stood in front of his door, she froze. Because now, she had to choose. For a moment, she almost turned away. Because it was easier. Safer. Cleaner. But that quiet feeling inside her didn't let her. She knocked. Once. Soft. Almost uncertain. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Then the door opened. Daniel stood there. He looked different. Not drastically. But enough. More tired. More quiet. Like something inside him had settled, but not healed. Lily? Her name and his voice hadn't changed. That hit her harder than anything else. She swallowed. I don't remember you. His expression didn't break. Not this time. Just a small nod. I know. Silence. Rain behind her. Still falling. But. She stepped closer. Heart loud. Hands trembling. I remember how it feels. He frowned slightly. What? She shook her head. Trying to find the words. Not memories, not moments, not details. She looked straight at him. And this time? There was no distance. You. Silence. Deep. Still. That doesn't make sense. His voice was barely there. I know. She let out a small, shaky breath. But it's real. Another step. Closer now. When I left, I thought I was freeing both of us. Her voice softened. But all I did was feel empty. He didn't move. Didn't interrupt. Because if this wasn't real, he wouldn't survive it again. I built a new life. New routine. New everything. She gave a small, sad smile. And none of it felt like mine. A tear rolled down her cheek. But when it rained, she looked up slightly. Let a drop hit her face. Something inside me remembered. Daniel's breath hitched. Lily. I don't remember loving you. The words came again. But this time, they didn't hurt the same way. But I think. She hesitated. Just for a second. Then. I can feel why I did. Silence. And in that silence, something shifted. Why are you here? His voice was careful. Fragile. Because I don't want to keep running from something that feels this real. She stepped closer again. Now just inches away. And because. Her voice softened. I think I want to fall in love with you. Again. That word stayed between them. Again. Not past. Not memory. Choice. He searched her face. Looking for doubt. For hesitation. For anything that might disappear tomorrow. You're not sure? No. She smiled slightly through tears. But I'm here. A long pause. Then. He stepped aside. Not dramatically. Not emotionally. Just enough. Then come in. This time. It wasn't about remembering. There were no expectations. No pressure. No you used to be. Just two people. Starting from nothing. Or maybe. From something deeper than memory. Days passed. Slow. Careful. Different. They talked more. Not about the past. About now. About small things. Stupid things. Real things. And one evening, he said something completely ridiculous. And she laughed. Not softly. Not carefully. Loud. Uncontrolled. Real. They both froze. Because that laugh. It belonged to her. Not the old her. Not the past. Her. Now. There you are. He said it quietly. She tilted her head. What? He smiled. And this time. It reached his eyes. She stepped closer. Took his hand. Not out of habit. Not out of memory. But because she wanted to. And this time. She didn't let go. Maybe she would never remember everything. Maybe the past would stay gone. But something else had taken its place. Something just as real. Choice. And maybe that's what love really is. Not memories. Not history. Not even time. But the quiet decision. To choose the same person. Even when you don't have to. Again. And again. And again.